a classic, just take me away kind of sound, you know? Yeah,
right.
the vinyl
Now
music.
tell us, you say that you spend a lot of time in Jamaica.
Yes.
Why is that?
I have a son who's 15 years old.
Oh, excuse me, you don't look like you're old enough to have a 15-year-old
Everybody
son.
says that.
Okay.
He's
So
15.
why is he in Jamaica?
Because his dad kind of wanted him to get roots and culture from Jamaica first. His father is also a Rastaman and a country bushman and, you know, a farmer. So he's like, you know, I'm not really too sure about America. And since he's a boy, you know, I allowed
He needs
him.
to be with his father.
Right, but he's actually going to be here next month with me
For this,
for the, you know, for until, you know. So I travel back and forth whenever I'm traveling during the summer months. We'll still probably go back and forth, but yeah, we're gonna do like a little change.
Okay, and where
right
in
now.
Jamaica do you call home? Just give me the district.
Old Harbor
Oh, in St. Catherine?
in St. Catherine, yes.
Wow,
Yes,
wow.
yes, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
I have a place in St. Elizabeth. However, the majority of the time when I'm there,
in St. Catherine.
Yeah, it's in
No
St.
Harbor.
Catherine.
Stop it. That's Ed Robinson, you know, just being so mischievous. Do you know Ed Robinson?
Yes,
You've
I
been
met
here
him before when I was here, right?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, Iyata is family. We were supposed to do this in the studio in the Bronx, but you know what? Have some little technical glitches, and I really wanted the Conduit listeners to get the full Iyata experience. So we know that last year you did that huge park show. Have there been any calls for you this year?
Oh, well, with Grooving in the Park this year, no, not with that particular show. However, Rems is always like in the kitchen, right,
Mixing
cooking up something.
right?
Yeah, so I do have a few things lined up. However, for that show, as of right now, I haven't heard anything.
So we maybe need to make a call to Rasclem.
Yes.
Definitely,
Yes,
we
we
need to
do.
kind of, because
We
typically
do.
their shows are predominantly men,
Right. Right.
and you know,
right,
and
right.
I know that he would be receptive to you because I know you did such a great job last year.
Thank you very
And we're going to
much.
say, you know, we want Iyata to
Yes,
come back.
yes.
Absolutely.
I don't know
at
if
a
they would
time-
make me another Groovin' Idol again, but maybe. You never know.
Well, they may do because their show is June. Is it June 30th?
June.
I think it's June
Okay.
30th. I think
Okay.
it's June. I'm not too sure. I'm getting my dates mixed up. I could find it. So they may have time to do that.
Okay,
where,
right.
They want to, but they have a great lineup. I'm sorry, British Empress. Oh my goodness. You know, British Empress was in the chat room, and she's really enjoying the conversation with you, Iyata.
Big up British Empress, yeah man. Big
You
up
heard
yourself,
it,
sis.
right? And did you hear her singing along? Okay, okay. So, she's just commenting on the conversation that we were having. I'm so sorry, British Empress. I'm going to monitor the chat room more closely so that when you're commenting, we can include you in the conversation. Of course, I'm in the Conduit Studios in Brooklyn, in the studios at E2 on Air. And my very special guest this evening is Miss Iyata Safari.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Iyata, I know that you teach.
Yes. Well, since the last time I was here, I
Are you
haven't.
still doing that?
Yeah, I haven't been teaching. I can say that I did a little volunteering work while I'm in, you know, anytime I'm in Jamaica, I always volunteer at the primary school. However, this year, last year, 2015 and 2014, I was able to volunteer at the high school because my son is in high school now.
Wow.
And he might give trouble, money. He give trouble.
What do you mean him give trouble?
He give trouble at school. Like, I remember I got a call from the dean. The dean is saying I had to come to the school at that moment because my son had a fight with somebody, and it was like 3 days in a row him and the boy were fighting. And
So then that's a deeper issue then.
yeah.
If it's just one child. There's
Well,
obviously
no, it
something
wasn't
going-
just one child because it was like it started to occur on a regular basis. So ones were kind of like saying, not even ones, but there was an observation that apparently it was my child. I mean, I'm not the type of parent that's going to pretend and say it's not my child.
Okay.
Apparently it was my child, and all of the odds were against him. So I took him out of school for about 3 months and homeschooled him.
Okay.
Yeah, and he begged to go back to school every single day.
You were not letting up on him.
Not
right?
at all. I said, this is what you do. You get 4 subjects a day at school. You'll have 6 at home. And then I'm there
because
with
homeschooling is not a joke, right?
Right. So
I love it.
He begged them back. And this was towards the end of, what was last year? 2015?
Uh-huh.
So this was the end of 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, so once he went back to school, I kind of stayed up there for about 3 months. About 3 to 4 days a week, I was at the school in his classes, and then after a while, I'll say about the second month of the teacher seeing me on an everyday basis, and the dean seeing me, they would ask me to cover classes. They, Miss such and so is not coming in tomorrow, so can you cover this class for
Really?
us?
But did they pay you?
No, it was kind of like a volunteer.
Oh, come on now.
I was offered a permanent position, but I just...
You can't do that with your career.
Right. It's
because I think you have so much to offer in terms of... I always think, and British Empress is saying you're a good mom.
Give thanks, British.
Yeah, because you have to do things that are drastic.
Yes, you
to
do.
make a change, because these are our children, and we have a duty and a responsibility not to give up on them. Though sometimes I think it's hard.
It is hard. Not everybody can do it. I remember my mom gave me a fight. She's like, she thought I was crazy. She's like, you can't take the child out of school. He needs school. But believe it or not, he learned more when he was at home. Yeah. Because you have to pay attention to me. Right. You can't be disruptive in class. You have to pay attention to me. And even the dean and the teachers tried to talk me out of it and say, you shouldn't do it. But it worked.
Because nobody's going to be invested in your child as much as you are.
Right.
So if there's a problem, and British Empress is saying tough love, yes absolutely.
We do need
You have to nip it in the bud before fingers stink.
He's a male child, and it's not, and he goes to school in Spanish Town. So it's like, it's kind of
the best
hard.
Area.
Right.
There's a lot of gangs in the schools and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. And then he's a Rasta, so it's like, we're just trying to keep it right.
So isn't there, in the same way, I don't know, Iyata, the situation in Jamaica, is there still stigma towards Rastafarians?
Not as much. I can be honest. Honestly, I can say even from the time my child, let's say, I'm thinking about, my son is Joel. His name is Joel, by the way. So when Joel was probably in grade 4, let's say, up until now, I think it's a little more easier for him, because I remember when he was in grade 4, he's like, I want to trim. He's like, he wants to trim because all the children are pulling his tam off his head, calling him dirty Rasta and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
But I think it's just something that the little children maybe do. Maybe they pick on each other because now he's in high school. And... one or two times, because even the 3 days I told you he was fighting, he told me, and I believe him. He said that a child draw his tam off his head. So it probably brought back.
So it was a bullying situation.
Right.
Okay.
But in Jamaica itself, I don't think it's as bad as it used to be, because right now Rasta is like a trend these days.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though. Because when Rasta is a trend, those people are not following the true liberty.
Right.
So they're corrupting and diluting the whole thing, right?
Right.
Because you see certain people, and I'm not judging, just an observation, that you see people who are carrying their precepts or whatever, and you expect them to behave as much as possible a certain way, because none of us are perfect. As a Christian, I fall off the wagon all the time. So I wouldn't hold anybody to that standard, but at least someone should say, well, she a try. Even though I'm a Christian, I'm in the dance hall, I still a try. I'm not going to skin out and all that.
Right.
It's just the music. So I don't know.
But it's not as bad with Rasta in Jamaica anymore. I mean, you still get a fight, to an extent. However, I can see right now in front of my eyes, times are changing, people are changing, and people are more susceptible.
Right, because when you look at it now, you have Rastas in government.
Right.
Which I'd never seen before, because I always thought that Rasta, them something there.
That's new. We have Rasta lawyer. I remember they right now, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were doing like Tivoli Garden overview. It was all over the TV every single day. They interrupt everything for about 3 hours every day, and they had like a lawyer from Barbados, and I remember there was not the opposition, but the
current government,
right, and
the sitting government,
right, there was a Rastafari lawyer, but he was for the people of Tivoli Gardens, so he was representing them. And I mean, it was a big
I know
thing.
the name. I know the name, but the name's
remember.
not coming to me right now. I think I know who it is. Oh gosh. But do you know that Peter Phillips was arrested?
Peter Phillips, is that him?
No. He's a PNP minister.
Oh.
But in his day,
Really?
he was arrested. Paul Burke, I think, is arrested too.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of who it was that would represent. But yes.
But we're breaking barriers, right? No.
So I want to get a bit political with you now, Iyata. Recently, I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
And if you don't want to answer, then that's okay.
I don't mind.
But recently, the grandson of Haile Selassie came to Jamaica.
He's actually still there,
He's
right
still
now.
in Jamaica. But the controversy was that he wasn't met by the Prime Minister of Jamaica, which is Andrew Holness.
Right.
Do you think that was a snub, or what do you think about that?
Honestly, I completely think it was a snub. And the reason I say it is because, he's not a political figure, so to speak. He is the grandson of Haile Selassie, and if I'm not mistaken, he lives here in America. If I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. However, Obama was greeted with brand new roads. I remember I was there, and they were like, honestly,
getting people off the streets.
They were like
hustling, tearing down shacks where people were selling.
Right, and they were tearing down the little side, what you call it, little shack where people
vendors,
sell, right, the vendors, and they were paving brand new streets. I mean, the roads were literally brand new with new tar, new everything, and it was like,
they find money to do this when they never had money before.
And it was a big thing all over the radio, all over the news. Everybody was talking about what happened to education. Why not the schools? And although Andrew Holness wasn't in position, I'm sure he would have did the same or more, and it's like, in a way, Haile Selassie's grandson, not even Haile Selassie's grandson, but Rastafari really did a lot for Jamaica in the whole as far as international recognition.
The culture. Yes.
Right, the culture, because people from all over the world, you find people in Europe, Germany, Russian and Chinese Rastafari,
Yes.
So it's like Haile Selassie is very significant in Rasta because he is Rastafari. So if Rastafari's grandson came,
you would expect the same courtesy, the same protocol.
You would definitely. He's did much more for Jamaica than
President Obama.
Right.
But you wouldn't go as far as Chronics and call President Obama a waste man. No, I'm joking. Don't answer that question.
Okay.
She's about to answer me. I don't know if I want, or if you want to answer, go ahead.
I mean, I wouldn't just say he's a waste man, but I understand Chronics. I understand his frustration. I understand where he was coming from, because at the end of the day, President Obama is the face of America, and as we call it, Babylon, We live here, because we try to take advantage of, the positives. However, there's a lot of negatives involved in it, and a lot of oppression involved, but we just, we still do a little bit better than what we can do, home or where we come from. However, Obama is the representation. He's the face of it. So I understand where Chronics was coming from, and I'm not going to say that I disagree with him either.
Right.
I'm not going to say I agree, but I don't disagree.
Do you think, we know that back in the 60s and the 70s, reggae music was considered to be protest music?
Yes, I do, because the majority of reggae music, like Peter Tosh and Bob Marley and Burn Spear and those people, even Gregory Isaac, they talked about slave master. It was always about standing up for your rights and burning out the slave master. And black people come together and unite. And Marcus Garvey say and those kind of things. And it was really like reggae music was like a badge of honor. It was like used in that sort of sense.
And I think that's why reggae resonated with the world,
right?
Because people across the world could relate to the stories that were being told in these songs, and it was their story too.
Right.
So the Aborigine in Australia or New Zealand could resonate with get up, stand up, stand up for your rights. So, and the kids in England could relate to what, Burning Spear or and then they would form their own
Give me
groups
chills, imagine
and
that.
bands. Wow, wow.
Yeah.
This is your sensitivity
as
an artist.
It is.
And I think the two
and
go.
it won't stop.
that the two go hand in hand, I think.
Yes,
Iyata.
it does.
You have to be in touch with your inner sensitivity to create.
Right.
Because, I mean, who else create?
Right.
God.
Right.
Creates.
Right. The creator himself.
Create.
Right.
So that's the God. Now you got me going. All right. Okay. All right. Wow. This is a deep conversation, and we got reactions going on in the Conduit studios, and I'm like, the only thing I can do right now is to play some more music from Miss Iyata Safari.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just trying to... Let me see. Am I going to have to search now for this music again?
Here is one here. I don't know if you want to do that one now.
Okay. Yeah.
Since that's what we're talking about. Imagine.
Yeah. You see, everything happens in...
Can I say something really fast? I'm going to
Yes.
cut myself short, but I just want to talk about the goosebumps and how I just get chills, my pores open, because when you said the Aborigines in Australia and New Zealand and then even the English children, it just made me real. I just like... For 1 second, or for that split second, I felt like not just the pain of myself, but others around the world. As you said, they can relate, because regardless of where we are, struggle is struggle, right? Regardless of your skin complexion, right? Oppression is oppression. So, yeah, we give thanks, and we have to keep the revolution alive.
And I think that's why it's so important for artists who understand that music is message,
right?
Music is flag bearing. Music is the way to uplift. Music is the way to heal the soul.
Right.
I mean, how many times have you listened to a piece of music and it made you bawl?
Many a time.
Right. You're going through a situation in your love affair.
Right.
And there's always a music.
Right. Wow.
You can relate to. For me, it was Gladys Knight.
Okay.
It was when I was going through my times. It was Gladys Knight, and I'm sad to say we're not gonna make it.
Oh, wow.
And we've gotten to the point where we just can't fake it.
Great voice.
Lord of mercy. Trust me, that was my... Sorry, Iyata.
Yeah, show me.
I got carried away.
No, but
so this
that's
is what I'm
that's
saying.
music, the power.
If you are an artist and you really understand what that commission is...
Right.
You have a heavy responsibility not to come with no foolishness.
Right.
And I'm so happy that the young lady that's sitting in the Conduit studios right now, I can't say that about her. You know what? Let me just play the track for her. Because we got goosebumps going on in here. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But this is a track from Iyata. And I think this is one of your newer tracks,
this is.
Right?
This was the latest release. And it's also on iTunes. This one came out in February, just a couple months ago. And yes, it's called Revolution.
So I'm wondering if we should play this one. Oh, you know something, Iyata? Can you believe it? It's 8:44
already. We're in the conversation. That's the Conduit show.
This is the Conduit show, and the conversation just takes over. But you know what? I want to play this track here. It's called Revolution. But what is
Chimurenga actually means the people's struggle, and it derived out of Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe revolution that took place right before Mugabe came into office.
Right.
So the
and
word,
he's still in office, right?
He's still in office.
He's still in there giving them
hell. He's 92 years old.
Giving them hell.
And yes, he is. Right now, the U.S. government is trying to sanction him. I guess it's for oil.
I get a bit scared when the U.S. government goes into a country and wants to sanction, because I kind of know what's going to happen next.
Right. I'm guessing he has oil.
That's the only reason that they're interested.
Right. So
we're going to speak it like it is. It's the Conduit show, you know, and we're not take back no chat.
Oh, you mean?
And we're not all remote or wrong. Neither. Okay, so you say the English is gone, and it's like the Jamaican. No, you know, I wasn't born in Jamaica, right?
Really?
No. My parents are Jamaican.
I was born here in America. My parents are.
So then where you get that affinity for Jamaica?
I don't know. From my mom, we always went when we were younger.
Went back to Jamaica.
Right. And then I think it was just like the influence of my mom's brothers. She have a couple of Rasta brother. Right. So I think just that whole influence, and then my family.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we come back, I'm going to ask you how you got into the Rastafarian faith, and I don't want to say doctrine, because it's not a doctrine.
Right.
Liberty.
The liberty. Okay? Yes.
So we're going to play the song Revolution from Iyata Safari, who's my guest this evening, and we're having a great conversation. Anyway, we're going to play the music for you. Is it playing? All right, here we go.
It's unification. Stop fighting each other with brothers and sisters. Same ancestor lineage. Remember, we build the pyramids. Revolution. Oh, we the revolution. They say an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Put down the guns, cause they killing our youth. They turning him against you, and you against me. Infiltrate the culture and spread calamity. What are we fighting for? Cause we already won the war. It's to fight against ourselves. Mental elevation, forget about the wealth, yeah. Fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Gone are the fathers and lost are the daughters. Jails and drugs is the root to the problem. Open up the mind and then we can solve them. Stop competing, come together for a cause. And the ones who are lost shall be the first. And the meek will inherit the earth. Up in the highest region. That is our origin, fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Get up and fight, stand up for your life. First we have to come together and unite. The only solution is unification. Stop fighting each other with brothers and sisters. Same ancestor lineage. Remember who built the pyramids. Revolution. Oh, we the revolution. Fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Fighting for liberty. How do we find peace and unity? Burn out frustration and hold a meditation. Strong fight for liberation. Focus on repatriation. What does it mean to be free? When you have to pay for your destiny. When you have to pay for your liberty.
Yes, Miss Safari.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't need to ask you where the inspiration for that one came from.
Revolution. The rhythm. It came from the rhythm, yes.